AgriSA is calling for increased policing in rural areas as farm attacks continue. 3 people were shot and wounded in a recent attack in Kraaifontein in Cape Town. Police are continuing their search for suspects. We speak now to Christo van Der Rheede, Executive Director of AgriSA. Christo, thank you very much for your time. So on Friday in the Free State, we also saw the brutal murder of farm manager Brendan Horner, who was only in his early 20s. And we know that only a handful of cases make it onto mainstream media. So tell us, what do official stats on farm attacks look like for this year?
At this point in time, we sit with over 50 people killed on farms. That includes farmers, farm workers, and this is highly, highly upsetting. Farmers are playing a critical role, together with their farm workers, to provide food to the country. And this is certainly the only country in the world where people who are producing food, which is so critical for the survival of our nation, that they have to live under these circumstances and that they get killed so brutally. This is for us unacceptable.
There are claims by the farming community that the level of violence and brutality during farm attacks has escalated in recent times. Can that be substantiated?
Indeed. We've seen theft on farms escalating. We've seen theft of infrastructure, livestock, and all of these other kind of things that are of value on a farm that is being just getting stolen. And we've also seen farm attacks of various kinds. In other words, brutal knife attacks, brutal gun attacks, you name it, is happening in rural areas. And rural people, especially vulnerable people like farmers, farm workers, and rural communities, are being held hostage by criminals.
More than 10 years ago, in 1998, a summit on rural safety culminated in the development and establishment of a rural protection plan to address the safety of the rural farming community. Was that plan ever implemented fully?
No. It's sadly, though, we've got the commitment from the Minister of Police. We have various commitments from the various commissioners of police. We are engaging with your provincial commissioners. Your big problem lies at station level. People there that are in charge of your various police stations in rural areas must be held accountable for not implementing this program completely. And we've seen also a kind of negligence on the side of the police, especially at station level, which is for us completely unacceptable, but more so unconstitutional. Because it is the police's job to protect the vulnerable in society. And we once more call on the police, let us sit around the table in the various provinces, let us come up with a plan, let us have collaboration between the various parties to safeguard our people.
What's at the heart of that negligence, do you think?
We've seen that negligence playing out at various state levels in various departments. I think it's a lack of complete unaccountability. For me, this is at the heart of a very, very sick state of affairs, especially at government level. I see the president is now clamping down on corruption. I would like to see the same urgency when it comes to clamping down on criminality. It's unacceptable. Police gets killed, farmers get killed, innocent women, innocent children all over the country. We have become a lawless state. And this is something that cannot continue, because we are going to get a situation where people are going to start acting in a way that is completely unconstitutional, because there's an urgent need for people to protect themselves. And we don't want that kind of state of affairs in South Africa.
Christo, am I hearing you correctly? Are you saying there's insufficient political will at this stage to address farm murders?
Indeed. I think there's insufficient political will. The right noises are being made, but we haven't seen a deeply committed action to address violence in the rural areas. We want to see farm murders being prioritized, because these are people that produce food for all of our people, not only South Africans, but for people all over the world. Farmers play a critical role in job creation, in earning foreign exchange for the country to make sure that that South Africa, at least, is food secure on the continent of Africa. Why can't governments see that and come up with a plan and come up with a commitment to save our farmers?
Christo, land is a highly divisive and contentious issue in South Africa. It often plays into tensions between farmers and surrounding communities. But this issue is also regularly hijacked by criminal elements as a convenient excuse for their behavior. So how is AgriSA engaging in meaningful conversation around the land issue to try and circumvent that hijacking of the issue?
AgriSA was part of various undertakings. There was Operation Pakisa 4 or 5 years ago. One of the issues that we put on the table was the issue of farm worker housing, the issue of farm worker tenureship. And we came up with a plan. And the unions, worker unions, and even the previous president celebrated the plan. But when it comes to implementation, when we call on the various state departments, Department of Housing, Department of Rural Development, Land Reform at that stage, there's absolutely no commitment. We are also now part of the master plan, but we've seen that land bank is in serious trouble. But what does government do? Government rather tries to fork out money for a failed airline instead of committing more money towards land reform. We are all committed to land reform. We are all committed to the establishment of black farmers, commercial farmers. We want to see economic growth and economic wealth creation for all of our people. But if you do not have the commitment from the state, then you are really busy with a lost cause. Not to even mention the high levels of corruption, where state employees rather use land reform for their own benefit, instead of making sure that land reform benefit the larger population out there.
Well, thank you. On that very important note, we have to wrap it up. We're out of time. Thank you very much, Christo van Der Rheede, Executive Director of AgriSA, talking to us about the prevalence of farm murders there.